They thought I was too weak to fight back. They were wrong. I was just waiting for the right moment to show them what real strength looks like. I grew up believing family meant everything. My parents drilled that into me from the moment I could understand words. Family first, Mom would say, smiling as she handed my little sister the last cookie. Family always, Dad would echo, ruffling my sister's hair while I stood there with my empty plate. Emma was born when I was 7, and from that moment, my childhood ended. She was perfect. Big blue eyes, golden curls, a laugh that sounded like bells. Everyone loved her instantly. I became the shadow, the reliable one, the one who didn't need attention because Emma needed it all. When Dad lost his job during the recession, I was 15. Emma was 8 and needed braces. "We'll have to tighten our belts," Dad announced at dinner. What he meant was I'd have to tighten mine. My college fund disappeared into Emma's orthodontist appointments, her piano lessons, her dance classes. "She has real talent," Mom would say, as if I didn't exist. I worked 2 jobs through high school, morning shifts at the bakery, evening shifts at the grocery store. I paid for my own clothes, my own school supplies, even my own food sometimes when money got particularly tight. Emma never worked a day. She was too busy being perfect, too precious to expose to the real world. College was supposed to be my escape. I'd earned a partial scholarship to state, but it wasn't enough. I needed help, just a little. "Emma's starting high school," Dad said, not meeting my eyes. "She needs a laptop for her classes. And she made the cheer squad. The uniforms are expensive." So I stayed home. I went to community college at night and worked full-time during the day. I lived in my childhood bedroom, walls still painted the color I'd chosen at 12, while Emma got the bigger room with the ensuite bathroom for her teenage needs. The pattern continued for years. When Emma wanted to study abroad, I quietly took out a loan. When she needed a car for her first job, I co-signed because her credit wasn't established yet. When she wanted to move to the city to pursue her dream of becoming an influencer, I covered her deposit and first 3 months' rent. Nobody asked me to do these things. I just did them because that's what good daughters do, right? That's what family means. I met Jake at 28, working my 3rd job as a weekend caterer. He was a software engineer with kind eyes and a laugh that made my chest warm. He saw me, actually saw me, not as someone's sister or someone's daughter, but as myself. We dated for 2 years before he proposed, and I cried for an hour straight because someone finally chose me first. Planning the wedding was my first real moment of joy in years. I wasn't asking for much, a small ceremony, maybe 80 people at a local garden venue. Jake's family was excited, helping with everything from choosing flowers to tasting cakes. My family was absent. "How much is this costing?" Dad asked when I showed them the venue photos. "We're paying for it ourselves," I said, my stomach nodding. "Jake's parents are helping with some things, but—" "Good," Mom interrupted, "because Emma's talking about grad school. Did she tell you? Marketing at Columbia, such an impressive program." She hadn't told me. We barely spoke anymore unless she needed something. Emma showed up at my apartment 2 months before the wedding, all smiles and hugs like we were close. "So," she said, perching on my couch, "I have amazing news. Chad proposed." Chad was her boyfriend of 6 months, a finance bro with slicked back hair and a tendency to talk about disrupting markets at parties. I'd met him twice. "That's great," I said carefully. "We're getting married," she squealed. "And here's the thing. We want to do it soon. Like, really soon. Chad's parents have this incredible venue they can get us into, but it's the same day as your wedding." My blood went cold. "What?" I know, it's not ideal," she said, examining her nails. "But think about it. This venue is impossible to book. It's at this gorgeous estate in the Hamptons. Everyone who's anyone gets married there. We'd be crazy to pass it up." "Emma, our invitations already went out." "Right, but—" She looked at me with those big blue eyes that always got her what she wanted. "Your wedding is just at that garden place. You could move it. There are tons of weekends available. We've paid deposits. We've booked vendors. People have made travel arrangements." "Well, maybe some of them could come to my wedding instead," Chad's family is covering everything: open bar, seated dinner, a live band. It's going to be incredible. Way better than. She gestured vaguely at the stack of DIY decoration supplies in my corner. This. I should have said no, should have told her to pick a different date. But that old conditioning kicked in. Emma gets what Emma wants, and I make it work. I'll talk to Jake, I heard myself say. Emma kissed my cheek and left, already texting someone about flowers. Jake was less accommodating. Absolutely not, he said flatly when I told him. We're not moving our wedding because your sister can't plan ahead. She just. No. He took my hands. Baby, I love you, but this is ridiculous. We're not changing anything. Your family can make a choice. They made their choice. The invitation arrived a week later, cream cardstock with gold embossing dripping with ostentation. Emma and Chad's names in elaborate script beneath them. The Worthington Estate, Hampton Bays. The same day as my wedding. The same time, even. I called my mom. Did you see Emma's date? Isn't it wonderful? She gushed. The Worthington Estate. Do you know how exclusive that is? The Johnsons got married there, and the Penningtons. Emma's really moving up in the world. Mom, it's the same day as my wedding. A pause. Oh, right. So you'll talk to her? Help her pick a different date? Honey, you don't understand. This venue has a year-long waiting list. They had a cancellation. It's a miracle they could get in at all. You could just move yours. That garden place must have other dates available. We're not moving our wedding. Don't be stubborn. This is important for Emma's future. Chad comes from a very influential family. The connections she'll make. What about my wedding, Mom? Another pause, longer this time. Of course your wedding is important too, sweetie, but be reasonable. You're having a small thing anyway. Emma's wedding is. It's a bigger deal. I hung up on her. The first time I'd ever hung up on my mother. The RSVP from my parents came in the mail 3 days later. A checkmark next to regretfully declines. No note, no apology. Just that cold checkmark. I called Dad. He sighed like I was a problem he didn't have time for. Your mother explained the situation. The situation is that you're choosing Emma over me, again. Don't be dramatic. It's not about choosing. Emma's wedding is at an important venue with important people. Your wedding is. It's nice, honey, but it's not the same thing. I'm your daughter, too. And we love you, but we have to think practically. The connections Emma's making could benefit the whole family. This is bigger than one day. It's my wedding day. You'll understand when you're older. I was 30 years old. The worst part? They weren't even embarrassed about it. Mom posted on Facebook, so blessed to watch our baby girl marry the man of her dreams at the stunning Worthington Estate. Proud mom. Dream wedding. Blessed. She tagged Emma, Chad, and about 40 other people. She didn't tag me. She never mentioned that she had another daughter getting married the same day, that she'd made a choice, that she'd broken my heart so thoroughly I couldn't breathe right for days. Emma's social media was worse. Story after story, dress fittings, venue tours, cake tastings. In one, she giggled, "Everyone's going to be there." Well, everyone who matters. In the background, I could hear my mother's laugh. Jake held me while I cried. His parents were horrified when they found out. "They're not coming?" his mother asked, her voice sharp with disbelief. "To their own daughter's wedding?" "Apparently Emma's is more important," I said, trying to smile through the tears. "That's unconscionable." It was, but it was also completely predictable. The night before my wedding, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Emma's wedding tomorrow, the same time mine would be happening. I imagined Mom posting photos, Dad in his good suit giving Emma away, everyone clinking glasses and celebrating while I stood in a garden nowhere, a daughter nobody showed up for. At 2 a.m., I opened my laptop. For 10 years, I'd been paying my parents' mortgage. They didn't know. They thought they were somehow managing on Dad's sporadic contracting work and Mom's part-time bookkeeping job. But their house payment was $2,847 a month, and they couldn't cover it. They'd been 3 months behind when I stepped in, taking over the payments quietly, directly from my account to the mortgage company. I did it because I loved them, because family meant everything. Because I thought if I was helpful enough, generous enough, silent enough in my sacrifices, they'd finally see me. They never did. I looked at the payment scheduled for next week. My cursor hovered over cancel. Family first, I heard Mom's voice say. I clicked cancel. Then I opened my banking app and looked at every other way I'd quietly supported them over the years. The credit card I'd opened in my name that they used for emergencies. The utilities I'd taken over when they got disconnected. The car insurance I paid because Dad had too many accidents for affordable rates. Cancel, cancel, cancel. By 3 a.m., I'd severed every financial connection. They'd been living on my money for so long, they probably didn't even remember what bills were actually theirs anymore. Jake found me at the laptop, my face wet with tears. "What are you doing?" "Setting boundaries," I said. My wedding was small but perfect. The garden was full of flowers, the sun was shining, and Jake cried when I walked down the aisle. His parents sat in the front row where mine should have been. My best friend Nora stood beside me as my maid of honor. We had 72 people who actually wanted to be there. I didn't look at Emma's social media. I didn't check my parents' Facebook. For one perfect day, I just existed in my own joy. The honeymoon was 2 weeks in Italy, a gift from Jake's parents since mine couldn't be bothered to even send a card. We turned off our phones and existed in wine-soaked bliss, pretending the rest of the world didn't exist. Reality came crashing back the moment we landed. 47 missed calls from Mom, 32 from Dad, 26 from Emma, voicemails ranging from confused to angry to panicked. I listened to them in the Uber home, my stomach twisting tighter with each one. Mom, day 3. "Honey, call me when you get this. The mortgage company says our payment was declined. Must be some mistake." Dad, day 5. "The mortgage company called again. They're saying you canceled the payment? That doesn't make sense. Call us." Emma, day 7. "Mom and Dad are freaking out about their house payment. Do you know what's going on?" Mom, day 10, voice tight. "I went to pay for groceries and my credit card was declined. All of them. What's happening?" Dad, day 12, angry now. "The power company sent a disconnect notice. I thought you were handling these things. This is really inconvenient timing." Emma, day 14, sharp. "Mom's crying because they got a late notice from the mortgage company. What did you do?" The last voicemail was from 2 hours ago. Mom, her voice small and scared. "Please call us back. The mortgage company says we're going into foreclosure proceedings. They said you'd been paying it. For years. Why didn't you tell us? Please, we need to talk. We need help." Jake looked at me from the driver's seat. "You okay?" "Perfect," I said, deleting every voicemail. Never better. The doorbell rang at 7 p.m. that night. Through the peephole, I could see my parents standing on the porch, looking smaller and older than I remembered. Emma stood behind them, arms crossed. I opened the door, but didn't invite them in. "Finally," Dad said. "We've been trying to reach you for weeks." "I was on my honeymoon. You know, the wedding you skipped." Mom's face crumpled. "Sweetie, we need to talk about that. We can explain. I don't want to hear it." "The mortgage company says we're 3 payments behind." Dad cut in, his voice edged with panic. "They're starting foreclosure. They said you'd been paying it, but that doesn't make sense. Why would you—" "Because you couldn't," I said simply. "You've been 3 months from losing the house for 10 years. I took over the payment so you wouldn't end up on the street." The silence was deafening. "You never told us," Mom whispered. "Would it have mattered?" "Of course it would have." Dad's face reddened. We would have figured something out. We didn't ask you to do that." "You didn't ask. I just did it, like I did everything else." "The credit cards?" "Mine." "The utilities?" "Mine." "The car insurance?" "Mine. I've been keeping you afloat for a decade, and you never noticed because you were too busy making sure Emma had everything she wanted." Emma shifted uncomfortably. "That's not fair." I turned to her slowly. "Your Columbia marketing degree? I took out a loan for that. Your car? I co-signed. Your apartment deposit in the city? My savings. Your wedding at the Worthington estate on the same day as mine?" My voice cracked. "That was the last straw." "We thought the house was paid off," Mom said weakly. "Your father said—" Dad hasn't had steady work in 3 years. You make $12 an hour at the bookkeeping firm. The mortgage is almost $3,000 a month. Do the math, Mom. It's not hard. So you just stopped? Dad's voice rose. Without warning, we could lose our home. Welcome to consequences, I said. I've been living with them my whole life. This is different. This is our house, our life. And my wedding was my life, my one day. And you chose Emma's party over your own daughter. The venue, Emma started. I don't care about the venue, I shouted, surprising myself. I don't care about Chad's family or the connections or any of it. You're my sister. They're my parents. You couldn't give me one day? Your wedding was going to be small anyway, Emma said defensively. Mine was more important. Yes, I heard. Everything about you has always been more important. Mom was crying now. We didn't mean to hurt you, but you did. You chose her over me for the last time. So yes, I stopped paying your mortgage. I stopped paying your credit cards. I stopped paying your utilities and your insurance and everything else I've been quietly handling for years. You wanted to pretend I don't matter? Fine. Now I actually don't. You can't just abandon family, Dad said desperately. You abandoned me first, I said, and closed the door. I heard them standing there for a long moment. Then footsteps retreating, the sound of their old car starting up, driving away. Jake came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. You okay? I nodded, tears streaming down my face. I am. I really am. The letters started arriving 3 days later, first from the mortgage company, formal, detached, explaining foreclosure procedures. Then from my parents, desperate, pleading, confused. They didn't understand how we'd gotten here. They couldn't see the pattern of a lifetime distilled into one final choice. Emma called 17 times before I finally answered. How could you do this to them? She demanded, her voice shaking. They're going to lose their house. You chose your venue over my wedding. That's completely different, is it? You knew what date my wedding was. You picked the same one anyway because you didn't care. Because you never cared, and they backed you up because they never cared either. That's not true. They love you. They love you more. They always have, and I'm done competing. So you're just going to let them lose everything? I'm going to let them handle their own responsibilities, like they should have been doing all along. You're being vindictive. I'm being free, I said, and hung up. The social media posts started the next day. Emma's Instagram story. Some people only help when it benefits them. Real family shows up even when it's hard. Gar blessed your family first, your real talk. Mom's Facebook, a meme about ungrateful children who forget what their parents sacrificed. Dad's LinkedIn, weirdly, a post about learning hard lessons about trust in business relationships. None of them mentioned what actually happened. None of them admitted they'd skipped my wedding. None of them acknowledged the decade of financial support I'd provided. They just painted me as the villain and themselves as victims. Nora came over with wine. Are you seeing this? Every word. Should you, I don't know, respond? Tell your side? Why? Anyone who matters knows the truth. Let them have their narrative. I have my freedom. The foreclosure notice was mailed to my parents 4 weeks after my wedding. I know because Emma sent me a photo of it, unopened, with the caption, Happy now? I looked at it for a long time. The official letterhead, the bold text, the finality of it. My parents' house, the one I'd saved dozens of times, the one I'd kept over their heads while going without things myself, the one they'd thoughtlessly risked by choosing Emma's party over my wedding. I felt nothing. No, that's not true. I felt light, like someone had been standing on my chest my entire life and finally stepped off. Jake found me looking at the photo. Second thoughts? Not even close. The next social media post was from my father. A GoFundMe link with a photo of their house and a caption. After 30 years in our home, we're facing foreclosure due to circumstances beyond our control. Any help appreciated. Link in bio. Comments poured in. Neighbors asking what happened. Friends expressing shock. Emma pinning her own comment. Supporting my parents through this difficult time. Family stands together. Not one of them mentioned me. Not one acknowledged I'd been standing with them, financially, emotionally, practically, for 10 years. The GoFundMe raised $847 in 3 weeks, nowhere near enough to save them. Mom called at midnight, drunk and crying. Why are you doing this to us? I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just not doing things for you anymore. We're your parents, and I was your daughter. Was I worth skipping my wedding for? Was Emma's party really that much more important? Silence on the other end, then, quietly. The Worthington estate was— Stop, I said. Don't say it. Hey, don't tell me again that Emma's venue mattered more than me. Don't make it worse. We thought you'd understand. I do understand. Completely. That's why I'm done. You're going to let us lose our home over one day? You were willing to miss my wedding over one venue. I guess we all have our priorities. I hung up. The turning point came 6 weeks after the wedding. Emma posted photos from her honeymoon in the Maldives, overwater bungalows, crystal blue ocean, champagne breakfasts. The captions were all about living your best life and investing in experiences. I commented, "Looks expensive. Good thing Mom and Dad mortgaged their house to help pay for your wedding." She deleted it within minutes, but people had seen it. Within an hour, friends and family were reaching out. Wait, what? Your parents mortgaged their house? Isn't their house already mortgaged? The narrative was cracking. Someone, I never found out who, posted a side-by-side. My small garden wedding on the left, Emma's Worthington estate extravaganza on the right. Caption: Same day, different priorities. Guess which daughter the parents chose. It went semi-viral in our extended family and friend circles. Comments ranged from supportive to horrified. I had no idea they missed your wedding. Parents shouldn't have favorites. Emma's wedding was the same day? That's cruel. Wait, who paid for all this if they can't afford their mortgage? Emma's Instagram went private. Mom stopped posting entirely. Dad's LinkedIn went silent. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. The foreclosure process moved forward. My parents hired a lawyer they couldn't afford, who told them what I already knew. Without proof of income or ability to pay, they had no case. The house would be gone by fall. They had options. They could downsize. Dad could find steady work. Mom could go full-time. Emma could help. She and Chad were living in a luxury condo in Manhattan, posting about restaurants and shows and weekend trips. But that would require Emma to sacrifice something. And that had never been how our family worked. Week 8, Jake's mother invited me to lunch. We sat at a cafe overlooking the park, drinking overpriced lattes, and she studied me with concerned eyes. How are you really doing? I'm fine. You don't look fine. I set down my cup. They chose her over me, not just at the wedding, my whole life, every single time. I'm the reliable one who doesn't need things. She's the special one who deserves everything. So you cut them off financially. I stopped enabling them. There's a difference. Is there? I met her eyes. Would you skip your son's wedding to go to your other son's party? Never. Then you can't understand. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. I'm not judging. I'm asking if this is really making you happy. I'm not trying to be happy. I'm trying to be free. At night, I'd lie awake replaying moments. Not the big ones, not the wedding or the ultimatums. The small ones. 3rd grade, when I won the spelling bee and Mom scheduled Emma's dance recital for the same time as my celebration. 10th grade, when I made honor roll, but dinner conversation was about Emma making the cheer squad. College rejection, when I came home crying and Dad said, "At least you tried." Then spent an hour on the phone with Emma about her boyfriend drama. Every birthday where Emma's gift was bigger, better, more thoughtful. Every holiday where my accomplishments were footnotes to Emma's adventures. Every single time I needed support and got told to be understanding because Emma needs us right now. When had I been allowed to need them? Never. That was my answer. Never. Month 3. After the wedding, the house sold at auction. My parents packed up 30 years of life into a moving truck and relocated to a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Emma posted about helping them transition, with photos of her directing movers. She didn't actually help. She posed, Mom called me once during the move. We're keeping your bedroom furniture, she said quietly, in case you want to visit. Why would I visit? You're still our daughter. So is Emma. Go ask her for money. She's just starting out. Her and Chad are building their life. Yes, I heard. So am I. With people who actually showed up for my wedding. I hung up before she could respond. The guilt came in waves. Late at night, scrolling through old photos of family vacations and holidays. Seeing Mom's smile, Dad's laugh, little Emma in pigtails before she learned to be entitled. Had they loved me then? Or had I always been the placeholder child, the reliable one, the disappointment? Jake would find me crying and just hold me. He never said, "I told you so." Never suggested I reconcile, never made me feel weak for grieving the family I'd thought I had. "You're allowed to miss them and still make the right choice," he said one night. "What if it's not the right choice?" Did they ever choose you? No. Then it's the right choice. Month 4, Emma sent a long text. I read it 3 times before responding. "I didn't know they'd been relying on you financially. They never told me. If I'd known, I would have helped. You have to believe that." But I didn't believe it, because she'd never asked. In all those years of living rent-free in an apartment I paid for, getting a car I co-signed for, attending a grad school I loaned money for, she'd never once wondered how they were managing everything. She'd just assumed, because Emma always assumed someone else would handle the hard parts. I typed and deleted 5 responses before settling on, "Your wedding was beautiful. Hope it was worth it." She didn't respond. The apartment my parents moved into had thin walls and no yard. Mom hated it. She posted once a photo of a potted plant on a tiny balcony, making the best of things. Someone commented, "What happened to your house?" She deleted the post. They were learning, slowly, what I'd known my whole life, that appearances matter less than reality, that you can't sustain a lifestyle you can't afford, that eventually someone stops carrying you. I didn't feel victorious watching them downsize their life. I felt empty, like I'd been promised an inheritance of love and received a box of receipts instead. Jake's sister got engaged. Their whole family exploded with joy, planning a huge celebration. His parents cried happy tears. His brothers started arguing about bachelor party activities. I watched them, this loud, chaotic family who showed up for each other unconditionally, and felt a grief so profound I had to leave the room. Nora found me in the bathroom, mascara running. "Want to leave?" "No, I want to have this. I want a family that celebrates me." "You do. You married into it." "It's not the same." "Maybe not," she said, fixing my makeup. "But it's real, and sometimes that's better." At month 5, Dad had a health scare. Heart palpitations, chest pain, a trip to the ER. Mom called me from the hospital. "He's okay," she said immediately. But it was scary. I said nothing. The stress has been hard on him, on both of us. Still nothing. "I know you're angry. You have every right. But he's your father. He chose Emma's wedding over mine." "I know." "Do you? Do you really understand what that felt like?" A long pause. Then, softly, "I'm starting to." "What does that mean?" "Emma hasn't called in 3 weeks. She's busy with her new life." And I realized, when I needed her, she wasn't there. But when she needed you, you always were. And you never noticed. "I noticed. I just thought that's who you were. The strong one who doesn't need help." "Everyone needs help sometimes, Mom." "I know that now." I hung up gently this time. Not angry, just tired. Dad made a full recovery. The doctor said stress, poor diet, lack of exercise. He needed to make changes. They recommended therapy. Mom went with him. They started unpacking 30 years of family dynamics, favoritism, unspoken expectations. Emma refused to go. She said it was unnecessary drama. At month 6, I got a letter. Handwritten, my mother's careful cursive on cream stationery. "Dear daughter, I've started this letter dozens of times. I don't know how to say what needs saying, but I'll try. You were right about everything. We failed you. Not just at the wedding, but for years before. We took your strength for granted and mistook your sacrifice for lack of need. We are in therapy now, your father and I, trying to understand how we got here. How we let one daughter become everything while the other became invisible. Emma was easy to love, bright, demanding, clear about what she wanted. You were quiet, capable, always managing without complaint. We didn't see that as strength. We saw it as not needing us. But you did need us. You needed us to show up, to choose you, to see the years of sacrifice you made. And we didn't. We chose wrong every single time. I can't undo missing your wedding. I can't undo 30 years of choosing Emma first. I can only tell you I'm sorry, and I finally understand what we lost. Not our house. You. We lost you. If you ever want to talk, to try to rebuild something from these ashes, we're here. No expectations, no demands. Just two parents who finally see their daughter clearly and wish we'd seen her all along. Love, Mom. I read it 12 times. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. Jake asked if I was okay. I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to forgive them. Part of me is still so angry I can barely breathe. Both can be true. How do I choose? You don't have to choose yet. So I didn't. I let the letter sit. Let myself feel everything, the anger, the grief, the tiny kernel of hope that maybe finally they actually understood. Meanwhile, my life continued. Jake got a promotion. We started house hunting. His family threw us a belated wedding reception, and it was perfect, full of people who actually cared, who'd shown up when it mattered. I started therapy too, working through decades of being invisible, of believing my worth was in what I could give rather than who I was. It was hard, painful work. You're not responsible for your family's finances, my therapist said. You never were. But they needed help. They needed to be responsible adults. You enabled their dysfunction. I was trying to be a good daughter. You were being a parent to your parents. That's not your job. Week 24 post-wedding, Emma called. Not a text, an actual call. I'm sorry, she said immediately. For all of it. The wedding date, not speaking up, not helping them, not seeing what you were doing for years. Okay. I've been selfish. I see that now. I never thought about it before. Everyone always helped me, so I thought that was normal. It wasn't normal. It was you being the favorite. I know, and I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. What changed? She laughed bitterly. Chad's parents hate me. They think I'm a gold digger. They've cut us off financially because they think Emma's using their son, and Chad won't stand up to them because he doesn't want to lose his trust fund. So you need help, and suddenly you understand. That's not... She stopped. Yeah, maybe. Is that so wrong? Not wrong, just late. Can we... I don't know. Can we try? I want to fix this. I don't know, Emma. I really don't know. We hung up without resolution, but the call sat with me churning. That night, I pulled out Mom's letter again. Read it in light of Emma's call, Dad's health scare, the 6 months of distance and clarity. They'd hurt me, deeply, fundamentally, in ways that would take years to fully process. But they were trying. Maybe too late, maybe not enough, but trying. I thought about what I wanted, not what they needed, not what Emma deserved, not what anyone expected. What did I want? I wanted to be seen, to be valued, to matter. I wanted a family who showed up, and maybe, possibly with a lot of work and boundaries and honesty, we could build something that looked like that from these ruins. Or maybe we couldn't. Maybe some betrayals were too deep, some choices too final. I didn't know yet. What I did know, I was no longer the invisible daughter who sacrificed everything and got nothing. I was a woman with boundaries, with a husband who loved me, with in-laws who celebrated me, with a life that was mine. And that, finally, was enough. Whether my family of origin ever became part of that life again was their choice as much as mine. But I wouldn't beg for scraps. I wouldn't shrink myself. I wouldn't pay their bills or carry their burdens or disappear so Emma could shine. Those days were over. I picked up my phone, stared at Mom's number, typed 3 different messages, and deleted them all. Finally, I settled on, "I got your letter. I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday." Her response came instantly, like she'd been waiting. "Whenever you're ready, we'll be here." I set down the phone and curled into Jake on the couch. He kissed my hair. "You okay?" "Getting there," I said. And for the first time in my life, I actually believed it.